Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association. Missouri produces wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details on the variety of products made in the state are at choosewood.com.
Welcome to St. Louis on the Air. I'm Sarah Fensky. For 5 years, STL Sloup was one of the city's funnest pop-ups. The event combined soup and money for artists and community projects. Talk about a win-win. And now, after a 5-year hiatus, STL Sloup is coming back. That is thanks to Ann McCullough. She's a St. Louis native, previously the director of the Cherokee Street Business Association, and she's currently a steward of canoes for Big Muddy Adventures. And she joins us today to talk about why she's taking on STL Sloup, too. So, Ann McCullough, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So give us just a short history of STL Sloup. I understand it started 10 years ago. Who brought it here?
So Amelia Collette Jones and Maggie Ginestra began Sloup in February of 2010, and it actually started at Stirrup Pants on Cherokee Street. It was it hadn't gone mobile yet, and it was inspired by other Sloup sort of events around the country, and so they saw an opportunity to bring it to St. Louis, and saw a lot of artists and community people in need of some small funding for their projects, and so they kicked it off in February of 2010.
And the idea here is people share soup together, and then they take a vote. What exactly are they voting on?
So we accept proposals from any one artist, resident, activist interested in doing a creative project, program, or event. And so they submit proposals up until the week before the event. And then they will present those proposals while you're eating your bowl of soup. And then everyone who made the donation and got a bowl of soup will vote. And the winner gets the whole pot of funding.
So this event, I mean, it does sound like so much fun. It's helping people who could use the money. What made it go away? You said it started in 2010. They had about a 5-year run?
Well, yeah, Amelia and Maggie ran it until about 2012, and then they handed over the reins to some Wash U grads, Karen Mandelbaum, Becca Moore, Tara Pham, and Zoe Scarf. And from 2012 to 2015, those ladies organized and grew Sloup into a St. Louis fixture that went mobile. It was all around the city, and they generated over $31,000 for over about 60 projects.
So that's a good chunk of change.
It is. I think, there are still projects that we can see today that made an impact. The Cotton Belt mural was one of those, and I see that mural all the time when I'm paddling down the river.
So what made you, Ann, decide to bring this back after this 5-year gap?
Well, I just moved back to St. Louis in April, and right now I'm doing a lot of manual and physical labor, and I have a lot of energy to get back into community work and to supporting artists and activists and creative people. And I saw this, post online that they were looking for somebody to take it on. And, I did reach out to a handful of people involved in other community work to see if they would want to organize it with me. But it ends up that it's just me, and I have enough energy and time right now to put into creating a great event and bringing it back. And all the women who previously ran it have provided a lot of guidance and assistance, and I knew all of them from my work on Cherokee Street, and so they're really happy to hand it off and bring it back.
Well, it's exciting. It's coming back. And for the uninitiated, I want to talk a bit today about why Sloup mattered and why it's again going to matter that we have it here. And how better to do that than to talk to a past winner. Dale Chambers is an artist in St. Louis, and she joins us today. Dale, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I'm told that Sloup funded approximately 60 projects, and yours was the 51st. Tell us about this project that got funding.
At the time, I was doing quilting. I was working with elders in my family line, in my maternal family line, to communicate different struggle issues going on. And I applied to Sloop to get the project funded. Freedom Quilts and me and my great aunt and two great aunts, we made a series of quilts, and I made quilts with Yayo Arts Collective and with Bread and Roses, Missouri. And we used quilts to communicate what is going on in the world for us, what is live for us, and what issues were we wanting to work out.
And what kind of funding did you get from the Sloop event that was able to subsidize that project?
Definitely less than $1,000, but just enough to kickstart my own momentum. I'm not a person who depends on one funding source per project, but what Sloup provided me was a space to work out, talking about the work in a safe space, and then also that funding helped with supplies. I had to build horses for the quilts. It bought wood. It helped when I had to learn how to hang the quilts professionally instead of just having them for my bed like I had been used to quilting about. So it was a kickstart to a series of a serious work for me.
So, Anne, this idea of it being a kickstart, and as Dale said in her case, it's somewhat less than $1,000. Is that pretty typical for what Sloop has done in the past?
Yeah, it ranges. It just depends on how many attendees come to the event, and how many presenters entice and get their friends and family to come. So yeah, projects ranged from anywhere. There was a couple around the $1,000 range, and there were some around the 150 range as well.
Dale, when you and I talked earlier, I was amused to hear that you freely volunteered. You didn't just win Sloop, you also lost Sloop, and you lost Sloop more than once. What was that like to go pitch an idea and then see the attendees, they ultimately chose somebody else? Was that hard?
No, because there's so many people in the room for varying reasons. You get new ideas about your project. You get motivational talks. You get critique. You get all these other culturally rich, valuable things that losing isn't that bad. Sometimes I've built community, through conversation, and to me that's more socially valuable than just winning the money. And I like the fact that I've come as a supporter for my other friends and collaborators out there, like Erin McCullough and others. But it's good to see other folks and what other folks are doing in the city, and what a great grassroots way to do it than by hanging out over a bowl of soup, listening to people's projects.
And when you say you've gotten critiques from it, by people asking questions, you've sort of been able to fine-tune some of your ideas, or are there more pointed critiques that sometimes come from audience members?
It's a range. I would say that depending on what my inquiry is what I've gotten back. There's been times where I've asked directly people in the audience, what could I have done better to make my presentation, more interesting? Mm-hmm. And they've suggested to bring props or bring items from my art practice, things like that. And so I think that has been the most valuable information for me. Doing the presentations and going to Sloop is actually embodying my work as a presentation, embodying my work as I talk about the next phase of my practice or what the new idea is. And that might look like bringing a book or bringing a ephemeric item or something more than the proposal, dressing in costume, things like that.
And hearing Dale describe this, I can see why this event was so popular during the 5 years that it flourished here. It just sounds like such a great hive where, good energy and people just bouncing off each other and fine-tuning their ideas. But you obviously had to change the format this time around because of the pandemic. How are you going to create that same energy when you have a virtual setting?
Well, yeah, I've put a lot of thought into that because I think one of the many great aspects about Sloop was the networking and the community building that happened in the room. So I have some ideas for getting people to chat prior to the presenters going on. So I'm hoping to get people kind of talking and thinking about creative things here in St. Louis. We're going to give an opportunity for people to ask questions to the presenters like they did in real time. And then, we want to be safe. And so we created a way to pick up soup safely. And like you'll be able to drive up to Confluence Kombucha at 4507 Manchester after you made your donation and pick up a to-go bowl of soup. And you can go, eat that and watch Sloop over the internet wherever you'd like.
So you're finding a way to do this very safely. You're looking for that same buzz. And I know when I'd asked if you could maybe foreshadow some of the proposals you had, you wanted to save that for people actually registering for the event. I think that is very wise. But I'm wondering, is there still room? This is coming up on Sunday for this first return to Sloop. Can people still get in on this at this point?
We're not accepting any more proposals. We did receive 5 that I'm really, really excited about. We will, after this sloop, be announcing the next sloop. I'm not sure what the timeline will be. It used to be every month, but I think, just with how things are going and how it needs to be online, and depending on people's interests and how many people come, we'll figure out if this should be a bi-monthly sloop or 4 times a year.
So, Ann, you're not looking for more proposals, but if people want to join in and vote and be part of the soup eating, is that still something that's open?
Oh, yeah. You can make your donation up until 6 p.m. This Saturday evening, and you can do that through Facebook or through our website. I just got up and running, stlsloup.org. So you can make your donation online, and then you'll get a Zoom link, and you'll know to go pick up your soup at Confluence Kombucha from 3:30 to 5:30, and then you'll be able to head over to Sloop online. And what's really exciting about this Sloop is that we partnered with Granite City Art and Design District to support 50 commission giveaway packets by artist duo Alejandro Franco and Cali Jimenez. The packet contains materials that are a really unique extension of their creative practice, which focuses on reusing single-use materials to create stained glass windows. So in addition to getting soup this time around, you'll also, the 50 first people to pull up and get their soup will get this packet of art created by this duo, sponsored by GCAD.
So that is a cool additional perk. That's for people joining the STL Sloop this Sunday. We have more information about that on our website. That's stlpublicradio.org if you're interested in joining them. Last question here. Dale, you've been such a fan of STL Sloop in the past. Are you going to be there for this one?
I definitely am. There's some wellness projects that are happening that I'm hoping that will get funded, so I am there to support.
Well, that is awesome. And I'm so glad this is coming back. And I want to thank you both for joining us today. So Dale Chambers, artist and past Sloop honoree, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And if you want to find out more about me, my website is Dale Chambers, DAIL Chambers.life, LIFE.
Awesome. And Ann McCullough, bringing back STL Sloop. Thank you so much for joining us and good luck.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Podcast episodes of St. Louis on the Air are available at stlpublicradio.org, or you can subscribe for free on Apple Podcasts, the Stitcher Podcast app, or wherever you get your podcasts. St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio, 90.7 KWMU. Thank you for listening. I'm Sarah Fensky.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association. Missouri produces wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details on the variety of products made in the state are at choosewood.com.